Palestine was not treated as criminal.
Okay.
Palestine is run by terrorist organizations.
Well, either way, I think we need to realize here that there's actually no terrorism involved in Palestine. And it's really necessary here that we recognize the United Nations goal here is to recognize the independence of sovereign nations. What defines a state? The Palestinians are an ethnic group that have been around for centuries and have a common culture, common language. How does that defy them from getting a state?
Well, the state of Israel has already gained their independence and has already given up land in the past to give it back to the other Arab nations.
And they took the land from them in the first place.
Well, they didn't. We were there before you. The line is gone.
I have no response to that.
Moses is there. What he knows?
Delegates, the process is over. Now, as you'll notice, we only had four people in that caucus, and I could not hear myself. So you can even imagine at this moment what it would be like to have like 50 plus people doing that all at once, and they do all get involved. You'd be amazed, all in big groups screaming at each other. And it is actually proven that that's the most effective way to get things done. So these caucuses are a great way to present your view, to actually get up to the other country. Comments are good to just comment really quickly, obviously, on what was the points that were brought up. But a caucus is a really great way to get your opinions out to everyone, to clarify things they might not have understood, and things like that. And while we will have a moderated caucus to do amendments, and that's very important, we'll also have numerous unmoderated caucuses and possibly even a moderated caucus, which we'll explain at the student training days, to get the delegates up and out of their chairs and active, participating with everyone else. So at this time, the chair would file our motion to close debate. China.
China motions to close debate and move into voting block.
Absolutely, that is in order. Are there any other points of motion? Seeing none, we will vote on moving into voting block. All those in favor?
Wait.
All those opposed? Let's vote 3-1. This motion passes. So we're now in voting block, and in voting block we did a little speech. We did a speech where we talked about all the doors closed in voting block. You're not allowed to pass notes. You're not allowed to talk to each other in voting block. Voting block is serious business. So we'll vote on the resolution at hand, and any amendments that are proposed. We'll vote on the resolution. Do we vote the resolution with amendments?
We will on the amendments separately because
We'll
they're
vote,
each presented.
okay. We'll vote on the resolution and amendments separately, and delegates will raise their placards to say yes, raise them to say no, or raise them to abstain.
We have
abstention. An abstention is kind of a more diplomatic thing. If your country, maybe the topic is dying children in Africa, and you're China, and you don't want to contribute money to it, but you don't want to look like a jerk. So you abstain, saying that we just can't afford it at this time. It's like the nice way of not saying no without saying no. So we can discuss that more.
And we were going to have someone, we were expecting someone else to be Norway, and Norway would be a good example of a country that would probably abstain quite a bit. So.
If your country isn't on one very far side of the spectrum or the other, then they might be inclined to abstain on some more hot button issues. But again, we'll get some more of that, and it's not incredibly important. So at this time, delegates, there will be no passing notes, no chewing gum, no spitting at the chair, no talking, and all video recording devices must be shut off. We'll close the doors, and we will vote on the measures as they were proposed. So since there's only one, we will now vote on the resolution, which declares the formation of an independent Palestinian state. All those in favor? Opposed? Let's vote of 1 to 3. This resolution fails. And then we usually clap when it passes. Since more people supported it failing, we should clap. And at this time, the chair would file upon a motion out of voting block. Syria.
Motion to move out of voting block?
That's in order. We will now take a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? This passes. We are now out of voting block. We're going to take the placards off of the doors, and you can talk again and have your free speech. And at this time, the chair would file upon a further motion to end debate for this session. Israel.
Motion to end debate for this section and go for whatever.
Okay, that's in order. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. This session is officially over.
Syria likes to be difficult.
Thank you for all attending. Yeah. At this time, we're going to entertain questions about just at the end, we're going to entertain questions about anything. Stand in a nice neat spot. I like that.
Okay, I was going to make a quick point before we do some questions. I know Chris was talking about note passing a little bit. For those of you who aren't familiar with how MUN works, we greatly encourage note passing. We're not like most teachers in school. This is probably the best way for delegates to communicate during the conference without going into a whole unmoderated caucus and doing that whole thing. It's really effective, and we have our co-presidents will be pages to pass around the notes and stuff like that. So most of the time they hold up their note and it says who it's going to, what country it's going to, and the page sometimes. So it takes them, and it's a great way to talk about what you want to say, without having to do a disruptible community.
But there are negative notes
where
it talks about personal things. I've had one in the past where there was a letter to the page and it was like, did you date my sister? Totally irrelevant. You want to make sure it has relevance to the thing. You're not asking for someone's number or something like that. Let's see each other at the hotel later. All the time.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how much you get. So our job as the pages to make sure those don't get passed.
Yes, we don't like when the delegates just pass notes amongst each other, but the best way to do it is to either have it to a page, hand it to a page, or if the pages are busy doing stuff because you guys do so much work, crazy. But they come up to the dais where all the chairs are sitting, and they just set it down, and we'll read it, make sure, and then be like, this really good.
So do you guys filter the notes before you pass them?
Absolutely. I personally keep a collection of them really scandalous.
I've never gotten after and told the delegates in our own little group.
Actually, last year they were really crafty. We discovered that they had a secret code in their notes. We discovered that one of the delegates had a whole list of phrases that meant something else, and they discussed it at lunch. So these really weird notes we were getting, they were like, hey, what are you doing for lunch after lunch was over? Those notes ended up being about, I'm not even sure what they were about, but it was like, hey, let's talk after the conference, or let's go swimming at the hotel. I don't even know, but we do monitor those to make sure that stuff doesn't get
I had a question also. If there had been amendments proposed to the resolution, would those amendments have been voted on prior to voting on the resolution, or how would that have worked?
My understanding of it is that, Mari, you clarify me if I'm wrong, you vote on the amendments first, and if they pass, they become part of the resolution.
It is important to note this amendment brings immediately before.
Yes.
How realistic was that resolution? It seems to me that it wouldn't have been.
No, it's not. It's just a demonstration. Resolutions, first of all, if you know anything about the real MUN, or the real UN, resolutions almost never do anything. It's unfortunate, but in order to get all the countries to support them, they're usually rather watered down. We don't have our resolutions yet, but they're not going to be as simplistic as this resolution. So they'll definitely be more realistic, and they'll
a lot more stuff to argue about.
And we'll have the preambular clauses that give them background in case. We'll give them a direction in which to go to.
Who's setting the moderator? Who's actually that role in the real?
The second station.
The four of us. Us four.
Oh, I see.
one of us will be taking notes on what the delegates say. We give out awards at the end of the conference to every delegate, every delegation, so we'll take notes. One of us will.
The delegates aren't offering laptops, but we are. And so we make comments on every single speech and comment that your delegate gives, and we get them out.
Yeah. I just remembered something really, really important. One thing that your delegates can do for an amendment that is a surefire way to, if nothing else, impress us, is to add really great funding to a resolution. Because the fact of the matter is that, we always talk about how bureaucratic the UN is, how things don't happen, but a lot of it is because we can't finance it. And so we always ask that delegates try to add as creative as funding as possible.